got into cybersecurity with zero experience using this simple hack. And I'm gonna be honest with you though, this opportunity won't be open to everyone, but it will be available to a lot of people. But to even have a shot at making this work, there's some prerequisites that we have to make sure that we cover first. So here are 5 steps that you need to follow in order to make this happen. Now, the very first step that you need if you wanna be able to take advantage of this cheat code is you need a job of some sort. It doesn't necessarily need to be a tech job or anything like that, but as long as you have a job at a company that, number 2, has a cybersecurity team. So if you're in a stage right now where you don't even have a job, you can totally take advantage of this strategy here. What you want to do is when you go and job search, even if let's say you're more qualified to land an IT job right now, maybe you have some credentials in that area or you have some more opportunities there and you think you can do that faster. Well, what you should do then is look for IT jobs at companies that have cybersecurity teams. Now, if you know what you want to do, you can take this a step further so it's even more effective for you. And you can look and see, does that company have the specific cybersecurity job that you're targeting? And if you're not sure yet, then definitely it's smart to explore on different platforms. Try Hack Me or Hack the Box Academy are really good recommendations there. You can kind of dip your toes in the water, see what different cybersecurity jobs are out there and see what you take a liking to early on. But if you know what you want to do, on the other hand, like let's say that you're really certain that you want to get into pen testing, you want to get into the offensive side of cybersecurity. That's an area that I have a lot of experience with. I've been doing that for the last 10 years for multiple companies, like the Fortune 500 companies, US government, and all of that. That is going to change the jobs that you apply to, because while a company might have a cybersecurity team in-house, they might not have a dedicated pen testing team. They might just have a SOC, or they might actually have it. So this is something that you definitely want to do your research on beforehand, because it's going to set you up to be able to enact this strategy. But we'll go on to the next step now, is you need to make sure that you are a top performer in that role at the company, the role that you end up getting hired on to do. So let's go back to that previous example. Let's say you take a job in sysadmin, some kind of IT job, right? When I first got into the field, I was starting out in IT because I didn't know how to market myself. I didn't know how to showcase this stuff. I didn't have anyone to teach me this back in the day. So I actually had to start in IT first. That was one of the things I made sure that even though I'm not doing what I want to do, I wanted to do pen testing from day one. I wanted to do that since before I graduated college. And I knew that that's what I wanted to get into. And well, the thing is that, I wasn't doing that. I was doing sysadmin, but I made sure I was the best sysadmin that I possibly could be. I was the best backup and recovery admin that I possibly could be. And I was able to win over the trust of the people at that company. And that ended up paying dividends greatly for me, because if you're a top performer, maybe that doesn't get you into cybersecurity tomorrow, but it opens doors. It gives people a reason and incentive to help you out if they're in a position where they can help you out. So the next point is you need time, because this is, like I said, it's not going to happen tomorrow if you're using this strategy, but it's a bit of a long game, because if you can, if you have some time, not only can you keep upskilling yourself and keep learning, but you also have time to start networking within that company in a way to where it doesn't feel like you're trying to get something from the other person. That's the biggest, I would say, downside to people that are trying to network in a time limited context when you don't have a lot of time, right? There's no way around it. It's going to really come off to other people. They're going to be able to pick up on that energy that you're putting out, that like, okay, this guy seems like he's trying to get something out of him. He's trying to extract too much. But if you have time, you can network with people, because the best time to build a network is when you don't already need the network, because you're going about living your life, doing your IT job, you're learning cybersecurity on the side. You want to get into cyber as soon as possible, but you're not in this kind of desperate situation where you need to be super urgent. So that allows you to be more genuine in your networking and actually build up a network. Then down the line you can tap into. And this is not just theory. Like I teased at the beginning of the video, this was the strategy that I used myself to break into cybersecurity. I was able to make a lateral movement within that company because it so happened that, me being a top performer and putting everything I had into a job, even though it wasn't my first choice, even though I would rather be doing cybersecurity, that actually enabled me to take an advantage of a very unique opportunity. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, there's always an element of luck involved in this process, but you can to to a degree make your own luck when you're doing things like this. Because, and this is the perfect example of this, right? I went to school for cybersecurity, if you guys didn't know, ended up starting in IT because I didn't know how to market myself and all that, like I said. Well, there was another guy on my exact same team that was also majoring in cybersecurity. In fact, let me go a step further than that. Not only did he major in cybersecurity, he went to the same school as me, graduated the same year, and was in a lot of my classes. Actually, I didn't know that he got a job at this company until the first day, and I looked around the room like, wait, I know you. I saw a bunch of people from my college there my first day, but on my team, he was the only other person that was at my school. But we started at the exact same starting point. Now, he took the opposite approach. He wanted to do cybersecurity, but he didn't want to do, the backup and recovery stuff. He didn't want to do the sysadmin stuff. He thought it was kind of boring. So he was a lower performer on the team. And so what happened was eventually we had a change in management. The manager that we originally had went to another team and we got a new manager. And it so happened that this new manager used to be a manager on the cybersecurity side. So he was very well connected with everyone on the team over there, including the director. And he saw that I was putting in a lot of effort and he saw that I had the cybersecurity degree in the background. And he approached me and he said, hey, you're doing a great job here. And I see that, you majored in cybersecurity. Is that still something you'd be interested in getting into? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he, which side particularly? I told him pen testing. And he was like, yeah, okay, great. Let me set you up a interview with the director over there. I know him pretty well because I would like to give you an opportunity because you've been doing a great job here. And the other guy, the guy that I graduated with, he also wanted that opportunity. He did not get that opportunity because the manager didn't feel any need to reciprocate because that guy, why should he? That guy's not giving it his all. That guy's kind of lazy. He's kind of slacking. He chose to help me because of the effort that I was putting in. So I didn't know when I was putting in all this effort, I didn't know it was going to lead to this. I had no idea. I kind of got lucky, but I kind of made my luck as well if you really think about this. Because had I not done that, I would have had the same situation as the other guy on my team. But yeah, I ended up getting that interview straight with the director and it was such a cheat code. And the reason I'm calling this a cheat code is when I had that interview with the director, it was the easiest interview I've ever had in my entire life. It was very non-technical. It was very conversational. And he just wanted to make sure that I was doing some basic stuff outside of work to learn this and that I wasn't going to be a complete disaster for the team. And he asked me some basic behavior-based questions. And then he, the next day I found out I was going to be starting over on that team in a few weeks. Because it was straight with the director, I cut through all of the other stuff that I know a lot of people are, it's painful, right? If you're trying to get into a job today and you're not using this strategy or you don't have this strategy available to you, you got to apply to jobs that have hundreds or maybe even thousands of applicants. That's extremely cumbersome. That's extremely painful. You have to deal with auto rejections from automated systems. It's, if you even get a human to look at your resume, it's a bit of an anomaly. It's like you've made it at that point, right? And so when you are able to take advantage of a strategy like this, it's so powerful because you get to bypass all of that. I didn't have my resume put in any stack. He was just like, hey, I know the director. Let me talk to him and get you an interview. It was really as simple as that. This is a tricky strategy to be able to implement and it involves an element of luck. But if you can do this, it is so powerful because normally you have to have multiple rounds of interviews as well, right? You're not getting an interview directly with the director. Even if you bypass the ATS, the automated scanners, and you get an interview, you're probably going to have multiple rounds. And anytime you're talking to someone high up the chain, it's a good indicator that, okay, you're probably reaching the end of the process here because those people's time are extremely valuable and they're not going to waste it interviewing a candidate that they're not serious about moving forward with. So yeah, if you can bypass all that and get your first interview straight with a person like that, well, yeah, you may well get the job after one single interview. And this is not just me that has enacted this strategy. I've had many clients do the same thing. Actually, I was talking to a client about a week ago that he didn't even tell me that he got a job in cybersecurity. I was like, man, I haven't heard from this guy in a while. And sometimes my clients like to do that as well. It's like they work in silence. I'm very much like that too. I don't like to announce a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, that I'm working on. I try to make it a point now just to motivate my other students and stuff. And obviously I talk, I share some stuff here on this YouTube channel, but a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I don't really like to share it either because I don't want the validation of achieving it before I've actually done it. But yeah, I had a client the other day that he told me he did this exact same strategy in order to get his first job in the SOC. So he went from an IT position into the SOC by networking and essentially making a lateral movement within the same company that he's working for. And look, the companies love to do this because why wouldn't they? They're getting a huge bargain in this because you're already, trained up on the company culture. There's a lower monetary cost associated with hiring you for these roles because, you're already onboarded within the company. So actually in almost all these openings, the process that these companies go through is first they look to see, hey, we have this opening. Do we have anyone in-house that can fulfill this job? If they do, well, that's typically, where they're going to go first. And if they don't, that's when they extend these the job search out to the general public. So little cheat code for you guys there. And the fifth step here that I definitely want to highlight is you need to be continuously upskilling yourself. I kind of mentioned this before, but this is really critical also so that you can take advantage of this opportunity should it arise for you. And so, yeah, essentially the components of doing this is when I say upskill yourself, I'm not just talking about the technical skill. I think a lot of people, they overemphasize the technical skill, right? Because there's other things too, like your soft skills totally matter. Like I said, that interview with the director was mostly on the soft skilled side. It was not very technical at all whatsoever. So I had to use my ability to speak and communicate effectively in order to land that opportunity. If I was just and there's a lot of people like this, right? The savants, right? They're super technically skilled, but they have no people skills. If I came into that interview like that, even though maybe I'm like some super hacker and I've worked alongside people like this, they have all these CVEs and this and that, and they're like really smart, like in the research side, but they're just terrible to work with. So if I didn't upskill myself and learning my social skills and how to carry myself, then yeah, that would have been something that could have prevented me as well. But also your portfolio will matter as well. It could matter. It may not. But if you can showcase stuff that you've done, right? That's one thing that the director asked me on the interview. Can you tell me about some of the things that you've been doing on the side to learn this stuff? And even though I wish I could have said more, I did have some things to present to him. That was sufficient in my case. So definitely having some sort of portfolio is really, really critical. And if you're just doing a lot of these, let's say training platforms and you're not building a portfolio, then that could come back to, prevent you if you're trying to execute on these steps. And also your interview skill as well. Now, in my case, it wasn't very technical, like I said, but there's a case that maybe you would get a very technical interview, even if you were recommended to someone. So at least being ready, being prepared. And, I'd done a little bit of practice on there. I actually over prepared for that interview in that case, but hey, it's better to have it and not need it, as they say, right? And so if you want to make sure that you are absolutely certain that you're covered on all of these fronts as quickly as possible so that you can take advantage of a situation like this or even create your own, forge your own, then go down below and book a call and I will get you on the path.